So we're just going to dive on in. So take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, JC. Let me share my screen here. Wonderful. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, wonderful. Okay, awesome. So, hey everybody, I'm excited to be here today. My name is Joey Roos, one of the co-founders of Creative Critique, which is a platform that facilitates quality feedback among fellow creatives. We started the company because we found that peer critique is a critical part of the creative process. Drew and Pat can probably speak to this more. I'd actually love to talk to them about this afterward. There's Stanford research that backs this up, but there's not a platform that exists to support design-focused work, specifically within the education space. And so as a result, the average design professor is using 3 to 4 different pieces of software to try and facilitate critiques right now in this virtual and hybrid world that we're living in, which obviously is inefficient. There's login fatigue, and it's a huge mess of students getting an assignment in their learning management system and then uploading their work in an infinite whiteboard space and then collaborating with their work through Slack or Basecamp. So essentially what we've done, recognize this problem. This is an example of a Miro board that a professor in Mexico was using to try and facilitate critiques with his students before creative critique. So we took this mess and we consolidated the best features from the top software that professors are using into what is now creative critique. And to give you an example of what our platform looks like now, we've built out some better organizational structures, one of which being a custom prompt filter that you can create to help you organize your projects however you structure your class assignments. Another feature within a project is this multiple iteration tracking. So as you get critiques, you can iterate on your work and then upload a second iteration and then easily swipe back and forth to see the progression and the critiques at each stage of the process. You can also provide critique by annotating the graphic, recording your screen, recording your audio, dropping that into the feedback as well. So we're creating one source of truth for all creative feedback and collaboration. As far as traction goes, we've onboarded about 30 universities now in 5 different countries. We launched in January. We broke 1,000 users last week. So we're excited about that. And COVID has really accelerated the need for creative critique, as I mentioned earlier, since schools have had to transition to this remote and or hybrid type learning environment. And based on feedback we've gotten from them, that isn't going anywhere in the near future. As far as the opportunity goes, we're focusing currently on the university design school students in the United States and the 2 million creatives who are currently on Reddit and different blogs and forums trying to do what our platform is designed to do. And we've gotten some exciting traction this week, actually, from the primary education market in the United States. Andover School District in Massachusetts sent us a contract yesterday, which, as I'm sure you're familiar, the primary school market is a lot bigger than the university market, about 56 million students. So we need to refigure these numbers based on that new market, but excited to support all of education. To give you some context into competition here, as I mentioned earlier, we're consolidating the best features from all the top design collaboration software to have one source of truth, no back and forth of sharing a link from this platform and connecting it to feedback from another platform. And how we're bringing this to market is really through a 3-step process. The first being onboarding professors, which we've started this semester, where we just invite an individual professor to join. Professors, as you know, have a lot of autonomy in how they run their classroom. And then from there, moving into next semester in August, we'll onboard the entire university. So we currently have our initial professors evangelizing our platform to their departments and their colleges within their university to onboard the whole school. And then we're also closing a few deals with design associations like the AIGA, the UCDA. Design is worse than the military as far as acronyms go. There's a ton of them out there. But the idea is that we teach students how to use creative critique while they're in school. And then once they graduate and join a design association, they can continue to engage in quality critiques with one another on the same platform that they're already used to. Then as far as pricing goes, we have a freemium model, less than the cost of a textbook for a year. This is a little bit more context on that freemium model. The education middle column here is really where we want to focus. It's where you have the most functionality, and obviously there's economies of scale once we get an entire university or design association on board. Our roadmap of where we're going, We onboarded, the goal was 500 users in January. We got another 500 in February, and we're working toward a few different technical requirements that professors have asked us for, PDF uploading and a few other things that is going to push us into May. And the ultimate goal is to launch our freemium model next year, and obviously grow users, grow premium users from there. But we are seeking investment to grow our team at this stage in the journey. We need another full-time developer, a UX UI designer. Currently, we're contracting these people just on a month-to-month basis, and that's expensive. And a few other things as well. So if you're interested, I'd love to continue the conversation on investment outside of this call. But to give you some context on our team, you have me. I started this company because this was a problem I personally experienced. I was running brand new web design, and it was just one-man shop, constantly asking friends and family for feedback on my creative work. And I experienced that pain, that people who don't have technical experience can't really provide actionable insight on my work, right? The best they could offer is just, well, I don't know, it feels right or it doesn't feel right. And so I started going to design schools and looking at design blogs and forums, and really felt the need for a design-focused platform to facilitate critiques. I have two amazing co-founders, Eban and Deval. Eban's my head of technology. Both of them have prior software enterprise and startup experience. And then Emily is our head of design, and she provides an amazing perspective as our most user-facing team member. To kind of wrap things up here, I wanted to give you just a snapshot from one professor. This is actually the director of graphic design at Virginia Tech, who emailed us last week. And she was just giving us some feedback on the platform. Previously, she used Slack with her students last semester, and told us that after using our platform this semester, she asked her students which they prefer, and they all prefer creative critique. So anyway, I'd love to continue the conversation, answer any questions you guys may have, but I'll stop sharing my screen and head on back to Zoom.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you so much, Joyce. It's always good to see how far you've come. I know we've, like connected a long time ago, so this is exciting to see. For you all, feel free to chat any things here, but one quick question I was thinking through, how do you kind of like address like any kind of scope creep or like a product feature versus need to have versus not, like how have you guys been adjusting that? I saw you'd added some new features. So maybe just a quick, how have you handled that thus far?
Yeah, it's a great question. And obviously, initially, before we actually had users on our platform, when you and I spoke last year at JSD, it was more just a gut feeling. We're like, I think that would be helpful, which is terrible. But thankfully, now we have a great community of about 50 professors who are evangelizing the platform and engaging with us. We speak monthly, and they prioritize like, hey, this is the biggest pain point this month. This is the biggest pain point now. And then just via Trello, we check, which features have had the most feedback, and then based on what people ask for the most, that's how we prioritize our development.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, hopefully you can kind of connect if someone's interested in more, throw your stuff in the chat, how to get this, if they want to see the product. Hopefully y'all are doing demos. I don't know. So
Yeah,
let us know how you can get the product.
sure. If you just Google creative critique, will be the first thing that comes up, and you can create an account in 30 seconds.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Joey. We appreciate it. If y'all have more questions, he should be around here for a little bit longer. You can message him directly. And we appreciate you being here, Joey.
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity.
So next, I'm going to invite Jason from Yardz to turn on his video and join us as well.
Let's see here.
Awesome.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
And can you see me?
We can also see you.
Excellent.
Yes. Well, take it away, Jason. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, and super impressed with the two other startups that we're on. I love seeing the creativity. I love to see how people are solving problems, and it's an honor to be up here speaking alongside those two guys. Or three, I should say. So Yardz provides peace of mind for contractors that rent and own a lot of equipment by providing them an online portal that allows them to see everything in one place. To better understand this, let's look at the problem. Contractors rent with 3 to 10 rental companies. They log into multiple portals. They order equipment on the phone, email, online, from the office, from the field. They get all the equipment. It could be dumpsters, porta potties, Connex, storage trailers. And then they put them on 10 to maybe hundreds of projects, right? Each one with project teams, superintendents, project managers, all diverse. And everybody needs to see something different and in a different way, right? So you get this massive mess that contractors are trying to manage through whiteboards. We've walked into offices with colored sticky notes that they put against the wall based on who they're renting equipment with and so forth. So it's a pretty messy problem. Yardz essentially takes all that craziness that's out there, aggregates it in the cloud, organizes it for the contractors, place it on projects to allow project team members to see what's out there, allows them to see everything, whether it's rented or owned, in one place, so that they can filter through the data, search the data, see everything that they need to see with the click of a button. And in the end, we're going to give them alerts, notifications, project summaries to their teams, all automated so they don't have to do it themselves. The result of this is really efficiency for contractors. We've built something that's matched their behavior, the way that they do work naturally, aggregating all the data that they would typically be looking at anyways through a spreadsheet or on their whiteboards or on a wall or whatever it might be. And at the end of the day, automating the reporting for them so that they don't have to do the work themselves. It does it for them. What we found from our customers is that it's really resulted in about 10 to 30% savings in overall rental costs and about 80 to 90% savings in time, which is probably the bigger impact when you're talking about contractors that always are low on manpower, not enough office support, and really need to get more done in the day. The great thing is, I come from a contractor family. The other founder came from a rental company, and really we match, again, the way contractors work, and we really understand what they do, right? So we've built the easiest tool for them to learn and use. There's no tech team required. It usually only takes about an hour of training and human support all the time, which isn't necessarily what people like to hear within the tech world, but the reality is when it comes to contractors, if you give them a phone call, you're gonna win when it comes to customer service. I'm Jason Perez, founder, CEO of Yardz. Josh Schuyler is our Chief Product Officer. He's been in the marketing and design world for about 15 years, running his own firm until he joined Yardz. And then Anthony Green is a stellar CTO for us with over 20 years experience working for some classified companies and things of that nature. All that said, I'll give you a quick demo. I won't get too much in the weeds, but what we like to say is that we built a practical solution for an industry-wide pain point, right? And understanding their behavior and how they do work and how they go about their business on a day-to-day, and really becoming entrenched in the operations of their company. So this is their dashboard. They see how many assets they have out there, what's rented, what's overdue, which is probably the most important, and where they find the most savings. They have a map of all the different projects that are out there. They can click on a project, see what assets are there, click on any one of those, go to the details for pricing or dates that they might have it, so forth. Or click on the project and really get down to the project team that's there, who's assigned there, and who's seeing what. At the top, we always have notifications and banners so that they don't forget equipment, right? Or if they have quotes or things that have gone out, they're always in tune with what's going on their system, so that, again, we're reminding them what to do. They don't have to show up and start digging through notes or looking at boards. We just tell them what to do each day. And when you get in here, we have other markers and notifications on the side. And when they get to the asset board, really, this is kind of where everybody lives on our system. They come in and they can filter by a certain project, right? They can filter by a certain company, and they could even go in and say, hey, I only want to see what's current. And so now they're really driving down the data that they would have had to log into each portal trying to find it. But the great thing is I can immediately take off one of these filters, and now they're looking for everything that's from that rental company and what's current or what's overdue, right? And at the end of the day, we're giving them the ability to access this data in one place, one portal, whether on tablet, PC, mobile, it doesn't matter. All that said, here's some information on us. Feel free to follow, connect. That's my real email. It's not fake. So if you want to send me an email, I will respond. Jump on LinkedIn. We kept a pretty simple domain, Yardz, yardz.com. So thank you again for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is awesome to see. One quick question, and I don't know if you answered this or you didn't, but can you start the rental transaction through the platform as well?
You can start the rental transaction through the platform. It's not necessarily the behavior of contractors, right? We allow that for contractors to utilize transactions and acquire assets and whatnot. But there's two things that we talk about. Again, my background's behavioral science, so I really looked at how contractors do business, and we've been able to match behavior with contractors like Brasfield and Gorey, who's the Southeast's largest general contractor. They're our customer. We have a 110-year-old roofing contractor, Ellie Schwartz. Even though you can access and you can request these things through the platform, really it's the intelligence and how we digest the data, how we get the data, and how we put it into the system and aggregate it is that intelligence, and what Anthony has built for us is where the value is in Yardz.
Got it. And what can you tell us, just like how's it been? What's your initial traction? How's it been going since launch? Give us a little update on that, maybe.
Yeah. So we launched with the prototype about 2 years ago. We had great traction during that initial phase where we're actually able to land a distribution deal with a Fortune 500 company. We landed Brasfield and Gorey in that time period. Got some other beta type users and so forth. And honestly, in 2020, the story that everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of us had is, sales just came to a halt. A lot of these deals came, to a halt. We're raising, and all our investors kind of came to a halt. So we kind of just hit the pause button through 2020, onboarded some big customers, and then really in the last 2 months, we've hit this go-to-market, sales strategy pretty hard. Hiring a couple salespeople. Our team's grown quite a bit in the last 2 months. And traction is looking good.
That's awesome. So you paused on your race, and are you bootstrapped then?
Yeah, so I had a consulting firm that I scaled for 8 years, did fairly well. So I don't like to say retired, I soft retired, I guess. And then, the entrepreneurial bug just kept on biting at me. So yeah, I bootstrapped.
Tell me a little bit about your competition. Any, who's out there? Are y'all paying attention? You worried about it?
I wouldn't say we're worried about it. I think any company needs to be cognizant of who their competition is, right? And early on, we had different competition. When we started prototyping, I think we looked more like a marketplace, or a lot of these other companies that were in the market, like Equipment Share and Dozer and so forth. But every single one of them is pivoted. We know there's one very close copycat that's going to come live soon here in the Atlanta area. They actually pretended to be investors and met with us, and then copycatted us. So that was a lot of fun. But there's a couple other places. Typically the competition for us, there's two ways I look at it. There are the other products that are alternatives, maybe, that are similar to you. And then you have just, from a behavioral standpoint, really your competition is what they're currently doing, right? What's the legacy way of how they do business, and are they willing to change that behavior? Because there hasn't been anything necessarily like Yardz before. So it's an education factor for us to go in and say, hey, look, this is what we do. And they go, oh, well, you're a re-rental. And it's like, no, we're not a re-rental. We're a contractor tool, right? And we aggregate the data for you and make it easy for you. But at the end of the day, that competition, it's human psychology might be our biggest competition, and not as much as, who's out there copycatting. Because I think we really tie down to the way that contractors do business. We've researched tremendously, and we use, even analytics within our system to look and go, man, they really don't use that feature. Why do you use this feature? And we're constantly talking to them. And that's what we spent 2020. We have a group of 6 awesome advisors. We talk to them on a weekly to monthly basis. We meet with them on a quarterly basis. And when the whole COVID shutdown happened, they said, just go back to your customers and focus on your product and drive into that behavior. And we really did a major pivot in 2020 because of that. And our product became so much stronger and so much stickier. And now, we're having conversations. We have a pilot with Jay Dunn, who's actually larger than Brassfield and Gorey. We have another federal contractor that has $1 billion in backlog that we'll be onboarding soon. And we have some great people. Reeves and Young, who's another big contractor here. Winter Construction. These are big names in Atlanta and the Southeast. So
yeah,
if we didn't make that pivot, if we didn't listen to our customers and sit down and talk to them, we probably wouldn't have landed these guys.
Yeah, you're hitting on something that's super important, is like listening to your customers, et cetera. It sounds like maybe you've shifted your market a little bit then, or, maybe you honed in. Can you tell us a little bit about, like, how do you look at the size of that market, and what does that kind of look like now?
Yeah, so it depends how you want to measure it. The rental market it went down last year, but it was on trajectory to 60 billion here in the US, 120 billion globally. When you start looking at construction software, it's a little bit different. Although you talk about the recent acquisitions by Autodesk, 863 million for PlanGrid, 275 million for Building Connected, and $1 billion is the most recent with, I think they're called Innovize. So, the construction tech market is growing exponentially, and our job is to continue to just match behavior, be really good to our customers, make them raving fans, and grow, right? And how we control that market, so we measure it from how much of the rental market do we control, and then how much revenue are we necessarily taking on the context side.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to say one more question here, and then we can kind of wrap up for the day. But do you work with the smaller construction companies then, or one suggestion was the film industry, right? They're maybe doing a lot of things. Is there any, what does that kind of target market look like, or customer?
Yeah, so we do have, we just hired somebody that's been in the rental industry for over 30 years. One of our investors actually exited a rental company. He was a COO, and they sold for $1.3 billion. So he did fairly well. And these two people have kind of broadened our horizon. We've been very contractor focused. We've looked, and we've had some smaller contractors on. They're the ones that kind of deal with the quoting side, and use the product a little bit differently. But usually it's contractors that rent about $250,000 a year. That's kind of that starting point, and if you're renting $1 million, then you got to be a Yardz customer. If not, you're pulling out your hair, right? Like, that's just the reality of it. So we service some of the smaller contractors. We're going after them. And so we have different tiers of our sales team and all that type of stuff. And did I answer both questions?
Yeah, just one suggestion was like the film industry here.
Oh, yeah.
Someone had said, is that someone you're going after or not?
That's right. So our advisor that was COO of that big rental company, and then our new salesperson, both of them have relationships in the film industry, and they're kind of hot and heavy in the next month going after some of them.
Awesome. That's exciting. It's great to see, a lot of traction here. So hopefully you'll be around here for a few more minutes if anyone has more questions. But we appreciate you sharing about Yardz.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, y'all, this has been so exciting. We have a few minutes, and I do remember at the beginning, that we needed to maybe follow up with Luis about his robot. So if y'all want to come back on, I'll invite him, and y'all can turn on your videos. We've got a few minutes here if you have more questions for anyone. But yeah, Luis, I'd love to hear a little bit about that. And if you guys want to kind of chat and connect still, let's do it. So Luis.
Yes. Well, I went into robotics just as a hobby. I'm a programmer, and I like to use my hands. So to just also enhance my skills, and I just didn't like to be hooked up to a computer when I came home. So it just came that I started building a robot. Next thing I know, I am patenting this robot. So this robot is already patented. So this is a patent product. After patenting the product, started getting all the drawings, went through manufacturing. So right now the robot is being manufactured. 2 weeks ago, I started my Kickstarter. So my Kickstarter just started 2 weeks ago. I'm getting out there. I have my website. It's called luisrobot.com, where you can actually see all the features of the robot, all the things that it could do. I have a lot of videos on the stuff I kind of been testing out. There's a lot of there's a lot of features that could be done. There's a lot of stuff that you can put them to do, but it doesn't. I'm developing a hardware for people to use, a hardware with and putting the electronics in there for people to develop to what they want. So I don't want to spend too much time on the software development. I wanted the basic features, but not too much time in software development, which is most people are doing, a lot of software development. So I wanted just to have a hardware product pretty much, which is already, I kind of got it there. Now I need to get out there and get the customers,
That's
which is
awesome.
really the educational area.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can, Luis, post your link to your Kickstarter there. Maybe someone's looking to get into robotics, the hardware side. The 31st, we also host healthcare entrepreneurship meetups. So feel free to check out atlantaventures.com, and it lists our events. But the 31st, we will have a founder here from, it's called OncoLens, and she is a founder CEO, and it'll be a great chat with one of our partners here. And if you'd like to join that, feel free and RSVP on meetup.com. And without anything else, I guess we'll wrap it up, and appreciate y'all joining this morning. Have a great day. Enjoy the hustle out there, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Thank you for hosting.
Thanks, Casey.
Of course. Yep. See you all later.